Before the digital age, filmmakers used models and miniatures for pretty much every special effects sequence. It's a technique that quickly faded when CGI was introduced, although directors sometimes still fall back on the old ways. So let's take a look at the history of scale models in motion pictures and find out if it still has a future. The first ever usage of a miniature model dates back to 1902 with A Trip to the Moon. Over the years, the quality improved, and they kept using it until computers came along in the early 90s. The real turning point was Steven Spielberg's classic Jurassic Park. If he'd made it a few years earlier, it would have been done with only miniature dinos. But instead, the legendary filmmaker fully exploited the new power of graphics and kept the usage of models to a minimum. Over the years that followed, CGI almost completely replaced miniatures in a very short time. The only model-heavy title from that era is Independence Day, which actually holds the record for the most miniatures used ever. The most iconic scene from that film is probably the destruction of the White House. And yes, they built a small-scale version of the landmark in order to blow it to smithereens.
Roll cameras, please. Hey! Hey! And action!
That's actually kind of one of the easier stuff. You build like a very, very detailed model, which has to be very good because everybody knows the White House. It has to be quite a huge model because, you know, explosions only look good with very, very big models. And then we hired one of the best model visual effects explosion specialists in the world. Joe Viscoso. He kind of blew up already the Death Star, so he has some experience. And did all the Lucas, Spielberg, and Cameron movies, so he's like the best out there in the business. We had very good visual effects supervisors. We had a good crew, and overall, you know, we kind of like kept a kind of very close control on that. We didn't give it away to ILM. We didn't give it away to an effect company.
The usage of miniatures is rare these days, though it does happen. And we're not talking about low-budget titles. Think Inception, Interstellar, Harry Potter, The Dark Knight, The Lord of the Rings trilogy, and even Star Wars The Force Awakens. Another impressive use came in the real-life drama The Impossible, where they had to recreate the tidal wave that killed about 250,000 people back in 2004. That scene had to be shot in one take, so everything had to be planned to perfection, as it would have been too expensive to do it again. Fortunately for them, they nailed it. Don't expect much continued usage of the technique in the future though, as CGI keeps improving by the day, and as time goes on it will only get better and cheaper. However, some filmmakers might still want to opt for models from a creative stance. The only genre where it will almost definitely stay is, of course, stop-motion animation, where they make miniatures and move them a tiny bit for each frame they shoot. If you add together thousands of them in a row, you get a moving image. And if you fast-forward that process, it looks something like this. Like what you see? Subscribe to our channel for more exclusive clips.